How you doing?
Counted 3.
Commissioner Bullock said he counted 3.
Commissioner Bullock there?
Yes.
Okay.
How you doing, Doc?
Doing fine. How you doing, sir?
I can't complain.
Won't do any good anyway.
No, I'm just glad to be here on this side of the grass.
Amen. Amen. At least we have a quorum. We can get started exactly at 7.
That's right.
All right.
Dr. Knight, how are you doing this afternoon? Okay. Miss Jessica. How you doing?
I'm good.
You had a good week.
Yeah.
Right. Good evening.
Got some graduates in here today. Miss Jessica. So that we. You already witnessed this right?
I think it is supposed to be her. Yep. Yeah, she just walked in.
Yeah. That's her. How's the family? All right. How's the family?
Everybody doing well.
Got a little bit less than 2 minutes, and we'll get started.
This conference will now be recorded.
So it's you and Dr. Knight.
Good evening, everyone. The Board of Commissioners meeting for the town of Princeville is hereby called to order on this Thursday, June the 23rd, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. We ask one of the commissioners, please lead us in a moment of prayer.
Let us pray. God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter in a stormy blast, and dear God, you are our eternal hope.
Yes.
Father God, again, we come before you with humble heart, oh God, and God, we come with thanksgiving. As always, God, we realize that another 30 days have passed, and you've allowed us to assemble here in this boardroom one more time. God, we thank you for keeping us by your grace and by your mercy. And God, as we assemble here to handle the business of this town, God, we pray that you would give us knowledge. While giving us knowledge, oh God, we understand that knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. We pray, oh God, that you will undergird the knowledge you've given us with your wisdom. Lead us and guide us in making the right decisions as we move this town forward. God, we thank you for each citizen that is represented here on tonight. We thank you for those that have tuned in by virtual, oh God. We pray, oh God, that you would examine the motive of everybody. God, if there's a personal agenda, I pray, oh God, that you will reveal it. And then, oh God, if there's personal animosity, I pray, oh God, that you will block it. Then, God, as we attempt to do your will, I pray, oh God, that you will protect us with your love and care. And God, have your way in this meeting as we seek to make decisions that is best for the town of Princeville.
Yes.
Your will is what we want, nothing more, nothing less, and nothing else. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Good prayer. Good.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir.
Next item on the agenda, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, we do. And
Okay.
I'm going to read the first one that was sent in. Okay. I could not be there because my husband is very ill, but I am so tired of begging for help. My husband was the breadwinner of my family before he got ill. We need a porch and repair done to our house, and we can't get help from no one. I think that the commissioners need to go house to house in their ward to find out the need and not just showing up on election day. I am so tired, I don't know what to do. Some of the money coming into Princeville should be to help the citizens, not ignore them. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I am just tired. We have not got right since the flood. And this is from Miss Lily Gunter. The next public comment looks like, is that Shakia? Shanika? No. Calvin Atkins.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Board of Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I got several things I want to talk about. First of all,
Mayor,
Yes.
let's remind those it's 2 minutes.
Yes.
Thank
2
you.
minutes, and we don't have but two people, so I wish you all, if I do go over, don't stop it at two. And let me give Mr. Ed 2 minutes, if you don't mind, please. Did the board vote to move this meeting?
I'm sorry, Mr. Atkins.
Uh-huh.
Mayor, if you address what
Yes.
was stated, please.
Well, I think what we were saying was the max time for the public comment section is 15 minutes. Everybody gets 2 minutes. If there are only two people there, that's 4 minutes. So if the board pleases, they can go give him additional time if that's what you desire. Up to 15 minutes.
I'm not going to be that long. I promise you that. So my time start now.
Yes.
All right. Did the board vote to move this meeting to this date?
Yes.
Did they do it in a public setting?
I can't, did we do it in a public setting? I'm sure we did if we voted on it.
You did it in the public setting. I'm
It would
asking.
have to be. It illegal if we didn't do it in public setting. I'm sure we did in the open section.
They did. Okay. All right. And the last time I was here, we talked about the planning board. And again, I know each and every one of you all, and I don't have nothing against nobody. And I love each and every one of you all. And one of the comments that was made, and I don't want to be on the planning board again, I just want to make a comment. One of the comments was made by Commissioner Joyner was that it was time for someone else to get on the planning board, which is okay per se. But when you take the whole experience off of it, then you leaving inexperienced people on the planning board. And then again, Commissioner Joyner, you voted to allow Commissioner Bullock to come back on the board when you had two new commissioners. I mean, two different candidates, because you could have chose one of those. And then again, Commissioner Adams, he came back. So that comment, I didn't understand that comment. And the double wide on Mutual Boulevard, have they started moving that? Because the board, if I'm not mistaken, they voted to not to have mobile homes on that particular line. And I think I saw them cleaning up that particular lot a couple of days ago. So have they anything on that?
We address it once we get to the manager report.
Okay. Now let's go back to the budget. I'm trying to hurry up. I'm not going to be that long. The first budget that I received, the proposed budget that I received, it was a $2 million increase from the budget that you ready to adopt today. I hope that you all are aware of that. It's $2 million increase from the first proposal. And in that, the proposal today, there's no contingency fund. And I don't think nothing wrong with not having a contingency fund, but it's a good insurance piece to have in there. I noticed last fiscal year, we didn't use any of it, but that's just like insurance. You don't use it, but then when you don't have it, then, it's kind of tough. What is the fire insurance payment? I see that you have $101,000 for a fire insurance payment. What is that?
We address it when we get to the town.
Well, we don't respond to any public comments at this time.
Okay.
This is just your public comments, and we can respond at a later date.
Okay.
When we get to the town
All
manager
right.
report.
And then there's a loan, $2 million loan that the town is going to pay this fiscal year. $2 million loan. I don't know what it is. I'm just asking for my purposes. And but I really would like to know where that $2 million increase came from for the first proposal that I received to the second one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
The next public comment is from Jermaine Hinton.
Greetings. I'm Jermaine Hinton, born and raised here in Princeville, North Carolina. Actually, I'm in thoughts and mostly prayers to begin operation in my businesses. And I would like to introduce them to the town of Princeville, where we'll be conveniently located at 503 South Main Street here in Princeville, which is on the property that S&J used to sit on. Again, I'm CEO Jermaine Hinton of Hinton's Angels of Prosperity, LLC, which it would consist of Let's Ride Transit, J. Hinton Staffing, Roselet Properties. We are also an authorized extended warranty service, authorized U-Haul service, and also authorized Old Hickory dealership where we sell sheds. In addition to that, I'm also CEO of 2J's Enterprise. My partner, Jason Winstead, is unable to be with us at this moment, but that consists of a Dream Team moving company, a white glove unique touch cleaning service, and 2J's logistic and dispatching service. We're in prayer for our grand opening to take place on July the 11th. There will be more announcements on this behalf. And it's also been brought to my knowledge for the ARP funding. We would like to be considered with that as well, in addition to other small businesses here in Princeville, to bring Princeville back to where it normally was. Thank you so much for having me. And I also have literatures that I'll be placing where the sign-in sheet was, so you feel free to pick up one. Thank you.
And thank you for choosing Princeville, Mr. Hinton.
That's all for the public comments.
Okay. You can read the announcements that are listed. Special highlights to the spotlight ad, deadline extension of July the 18th. Princeville Farmers Market will be July the 9th. Please advertise those so we can get some people in there to start that farmers market. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Mayor, I would like to add to the old business question regarding the amended waiver for the senior citizens transportation.
Is there a second?
A second.
Been properly moved and second that we add under old business number 4, the amended waiver for transportation for senior citizens. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Additional adjustments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda with the one correction, with the one addition?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the agenda with the one addition. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
I'd like to make
Been
one
properly moved and
adjustment, Mayor.
Huh?
I would like to
Yes.
make one adjustment to the consent agenda from last month.
Okay.
Page 2, Mr. Atkins did have quite a bit of comments, but also he presented a documentation. We would like also that documentation to be attached or added to this consent agenda.
Okay. Which portion of the consent agenda?
It's going to be page 2 on the public comment.
Do you have a copy of
Okay.
that?
Is that
I didn't get a copy of that.
You gave everybody one, Miss A. I don't have it with me. I get it to you.
Okay.
okay? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the one addition?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the consent agenda with the one addition. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next, we have the presentation of our 2022 high school graduates, our scholars. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mayor. We have 5 scholars in the graduating class of 2022 present before us on this evening. And so we're going to honor you guys. If you can just go stand at the door and walk up to the front. So come on in on that music that you all so remember. Mayor, I wish you could see this, Mr. Principal. It's beautiful.
You can please get the names and contact information.
Will do.
Thank you.
You can come in. And if you would line up in front of the commissioners. Or you. Mayor and Board of Commissioners, I would like to present to you first Gabrielle Savage is a graduate of Northeast Carolina Prep School and is currently completing classes at Edgecomb Community College to obtain her associate's degree of science. Gabrielle will attend North Carolina State University in the fall, where she will enter as a sophomore. She plans to pursue a degree in political science with a minor in African history and afterwards attend law school to become a civil rights attorney. I present to the Mayor and Board of Commissioners, Miss Gabrielle Savage, and I probably messed that name up a little bit. Jabria, thank you very much. I should have got that, Miss Jabria Savage. Thank you. I
Excellent.
apologize for that.
Excellent.
You don't have to hold your applause. Next, I present to you, and I'll allow you to pronounce your name, Terrell Grant. Zachariah. Zachira. Zachira. Woo. Sorry about that. I present to the Mayor and Board of Commissioners, Ms. Zachira Terrell Grant. You are a graduate of, okay, and plans to attend Winston-Salem State University and major in pre-nursing and minoring in business. Mayor and Board of Commissioners, I present to you Ms. Bria Alexis Atkins. In the fall of 2022, she will be furthering her education at Winston-Salem State University. While she's there, she plans to major in criminal justice and minor in sociology. When she gets out of college, she plans to enter into criminal justice and become a criminologist. I present to you Bria Alexis Atkins. Mayor and Board of Commissioners, I present to you Traheem. Traheem, that's right. Okay. Traheem Daniels is in the upcoming fall, he plans to attend St. Augustus University, majoring in, thank you, while also playing football on a scholarship. Mayor and Board of Commissioners, I present to you Amari Battle is a graduate of Tarboro High School. He plans to attend St. Augustine University. Amari was a member of the Tarboro High Vikings football team, where he was two-time state champion, all-state, defensive player of the year, all-county, Tarboro High School defensive MVP, and he also received a sportsmanship award. Not present is Frederica Bowers, graduated from Tarboro High School, will be attending Edgecomb Community College and majoring in cosmetology while working a job. I would humbly ask if the board could come down and take a group picture with the 2022 Scholars of Princeville, North Carolina.
See, can you get the mayor and edit that picture now?
Okay. Thank you so very much. The 2022 Scholar graduates of Princeville, North Carolina.
Night. If you would take that picture and put it in the spotlight, I'd like to sponsor them in a half ad page.
Absolutely, Mayor Pro Tem. And scholars, you are more than welcome to depart if you so desire. But if not, you're more than welcome to stay.
You're welcome. Have a great one.
I know they're running out, aren't they?
You're welcome.
Mayor, the seniors have departed.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, we have Edgecomb County Board of Elections.
The Edgecomb County Board of Elections, Mayor, and the oath of office serve the same purpose. But prior to going into the oath of office, when Commissioner Bullock took his oath, we did not meet the advertising requirement. And so at this time, I would humbly recommend that the board take a vote to appoint him to Ward 1, and then thereafter, he can take his oath.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we allow Commissioner Milton Bullock to become Commissioner of Ward 1. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Mayor, also presented by the director of the Edgecomb County Board of Election is certificates for you, Commissioner Jerome Myrick, and also Commissioner Alden Jones, so that you all can take your oath on this evening as well. We do have the Honorable Superior Clerk with us, Ms. Carol Allen White, and she's more than willing to do the oath on this evening. So we'll start with Commissioner Alden Jones. Do you need Mike or you good?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the Board of Commissioners, Princeville.
Good
That's
evening.
all.
Good evening.
Good evening. Swear. Either one. Do we have a Bible?
Yes.
Thank you. If you hold the Bible with your left hand and raise your right hand, if you like, you turn it towards the audience. I'll put my back there so they can see you. Thank you. You, Evan L. Jones, do solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as Commissioner of Princeville, Ward 4. So help you God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, Honorable Clerk, we have Commissioner Jerome Myrick.
He has it.
Taking the Bible.
You place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand, please. I, Jerome Maverick, do solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of office as Commissioner of Princeville, Ward 3. So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Next, we have Mr. Bobby Jones.
Is he gonna be able to do that?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
are you going to affirm? If you would, raise your right hand. Are you being sworn as mayor? Okay,
Yes,
thank you. I, Bobby D. Jones, do solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as mayor of Princeville. So help you God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next, Honorable, we have Commissioner Milton Bullock.
Swear to that. Okay. I, Milton R. Bullock, do solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as Commissioner of Princeville, Ward 1. So help you God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for taking time out of your valuable schedule to come and bestow the oath of office to the Board of Commissioners.
My pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is the proposed budget 2022-2023.
Mayor, thank you very much. I would like to start off with the proposed budget and reading just one or two inserts from the budget message. The Town of Princeville proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2022 to 2023 is hereby presented following several budget sessions, inspection, and the public hearing, securing feedback from the citizens, the governing body, staff, and community stakeholders of historic Princeville. The development process for this proposed budget was met and starting as early as possible to afford collaboration with the governing body to thoroughly enhance the proposed budget in a manner that is clearly sets the stage for establishing a healthier fiscal foundation. The team considered and accounted for the reality of various influential factors that included, but is not limited to, Hurricane Matthew, where at least 30% of citizens are still displaced. As of the 2022 United States Census, there were 1,254 people, 789 households, and 556 families residing in the town of Princeville. The impact of COVID-19 with the continued peak in fuel, materials, supplies, workforce challenges, and the town's audit delinquencies. As a result of these factors, using the historical pattern of revenue collection to include year-to-date comparisons proved to be an asset in balancing the budget as highlighted during the budget sessions. General Fund. Most of the town's general funds derive from the ad valorem taxes. The upward trend of tax collections led to the adjustment of the revenue resource accordingly. Every effort was made to promote the continuance and expansion of high quality services for our citizens while sustaining a rate of 0.61 per 100 of valuation. According to the data from Edgecomb County, the town's tax collection rate is 85.82%, which a component of the formula is used to project the 2022-2023 budgeted ad valorem taxes, see Appendix A glossary, of which 242,000 currently and 30,000 prior, with a total valuation of 46 million. See TR2 2021-2022. The sales tax presents the largest revenue source in the general fund, 428,000. The state of North Carolina collects sales taxes and distributes it to local units. The impact on inflation and the lingering impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the economy provided us with a compromising collection. However, the town continues to assess a stabilized positive trend during the year of 2021-2022. Other unrestricted and restricted intergovernmental revenues are captured below. Local state taxes, 428,000. Ad valorem taxes, 262,000. Motor vehicle taxes, $52,862. Power bill funds, $72,482. Utility sales tax, $23,446.91. Sales and service, $150,727. Other revenue, $16,855. Lease revenue, $26,883. Expenditures. All expenditures related to the day-to-day operations of the town derive from the general fund. Town's general fund departments and divisions can be grouped by the following 7 primary function areas. And those areas are as following: general government, public safety, transportation, environmental protection, culture and recreation, economic planning, and debt service. In the absence of the town having its own law enforcement, the town is still able to meet the public safety needs by engaging in a contract with Edgecomb County Sheriff Office. The current budget appropriates $57,000, and year to date, $47,490 have been expended. This difference allows the town the flexibility to increase the hours as deemed appropriate and use the funds at any other events and activities. Since 2012, Edgecomb County assumed management and ownership of the water and sewer of the town of Princeville. Please see Appendix C, as this is a reminder of what maintenance tasks look like that is bestowed upon Edgecomb County. Edgecomb County received $7 million from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, for District 6 rehabilitation project that will include improvement of the water and sewer services in the town of Princeville. Edgecomb County anticipates this project will begin execution in 2023. Another noticeable adjustment is with the town sanitation, solid waste, and recycling charges due to the price increases subjected to the town by the vendor Green for Life GFL in the amount of $123,120 is the proposed allocation. The service charge amounts have been adjusted as well from $16.92 to $17.25 that will be effective July 1st, 2022. The good news is that there is evidence that people are transitioning into the town, whether former residents or new, as evidenced by an increase in households receiving this service from 563 to 580 in this current fiscal year. Capital projects. The town is continuing to utilize the capital project funds in fiscal year 2022-2023 to reach the long-term sustainable goal towards rebuilding bigger, better, and bolder. Capital projects such as construction of roads, parks, equipment, and other public facilities needs are captured in this proposed budget of 2022-2023. This proposed budget promotes several project ordinances, which includes the state appropriation funds, federal emergency management agency funds, ARP, the American Rescue Plan, the Community Development Block Grant, Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, Senate Bill 363, North Carolina Office of Resiliency and Recovery, NCORE, FDLG 035, and insurance proceeds. The town also has power bill allocations in the amount of $72,482.46 that can be used for several needs within the community, ranging from paving, purchase and maintenance of equipment, routine maintenance on streets, etc. Please see Appendix E that highlights and captures the eligibility for this fund. Recovery. The town of Princeville, being a small rural community that sits adjacent to the river, is prone to serious flooding. Since Hurricane Matthew in 2016, the focus of the town continues to be recovery. I am elated to share that there have been many projects completed since Hurricane Matthew, and the town has several other recovery projects underway. Please see Appendix D. These robust efforts will likely increase the town's revenue base moving forward. In summary, the recommended budget is balanced in accordance with the state statute. The budget sessions afforded the governing body to guide the development of this 2022-2023 proposed budget, in addition to feedback received from our community, town staff, and stakeholders. Factors highlighted within this message is evident that Princeville is in a unique operating circumstance, unlike other municipalities similar in size. Managing the day-to-day operation, updating delinquencies, while overseeing major recovery projects simultaneously continues to be an enormous undertaking. However, it is extremely rewarding carrying out the resilient vision of the governing body to rebuild bigger, better, and bolder. It is with sincere respect for this community, the taxpayers, and every person and organization that makes Princeville a wonderful place to live that I submit this proposed annual budget and ordinance for fiscal year 2022-2023 to the Board of Commissioners for consideration and adoption. Questions and comments are welcome. At this time, our Mayor and Board of Commissioners, based upon our last budget sessions, the finance officer and the team, meaning the staff here at Princeville, have joined together to thoroughly assess the budget, to consider all feedback provided during budget sessions from the citizens and from each commissioner. And I'd like to bring your attention to page 1, and I'd like to highlight the adjustments since the budget sessions, and then allow for any questions at that time. On page 1, there was an adjustment for the ad valorem taxes to $242,000, and I will yield to Ms. Alice so that she can share with you the details of this budgeted amount, which includes a formula.
Thank you, Dr. Knight. This budgeted amount, the formula that was used to calculate this budgeted amount was found in the accounting terms on the last page. And how we calculated this budgeted amount. Um, we used the assessed property value of 46,260,128 times the tax rate of 0.61. And let me go back and clarify that 46 million on that TR2 on that last page. There, the total on page 2, 37,074,969, plus on the next page, the motor vehicle total of 9,185,159. That gives you that 46,260,128 million. Times the tax rate of 60.61 divided by 100 times the tax collection rate percentage of 85.82% divided by 100 gives you $242,680.63. And we initially had budgeted $232,000, but in our last revision to balance the budget, we went ahead and updated that, adjusted that to $242,000.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions, Mayor or Board of Commissioners, on page 1?
Now that's page 1 of 10, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I'm only seeing about a $10 difference from page 1 from the previous documentation we received in the budget booklet and the one that we were given tonight. So can you explain the difference that were highlighted in the general government and also the environmental protection?
Right now, we're on page 1, Commissioner, and the reason why we want to follow it by page to give everybody an opportunity to ask any clarifying questions. We'll get to the budget ordinance in just a second, but to answer your question about page 1 with the 242,000, it's that $10,000 difference from what was initially submitted to the board. It was 232,000.
Okay. All right, we'll come back to that.
Okay. Any other questions on page 1? Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have a question, and let me just say that your budget message was very, very well detailed, and in my reading through it, it did give me the opportunity to get a clearer view of the budget. I did have a couple of questions that I wanted to get clarity on. One thing on page 1 of the budget message, and this just you'll say where it has the town of where it started with the town of Princeville proposed annual budget. Just need to get clarity where it says as of 2020 that the population was 1,254, and just tell me the difference in the. It said 1,254 people, 789 households, and 556 families. Tell me the difference in the households and the how is that calculated?
So, to my understanding, Commissioner Joyner, the 789 captures per household and individually captures the 556 families. So that was my understanding because I asked the same clarifying question, and that's the way that it was articulated back to me.
So there are 789 individual dwellings. Is that households
as of 2020, the census report?
Gotcha. Okay. And then I think I had another question. The general fund appropriated expense. Have we got to that yet? The pie?
Are you still on the budget message?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was looking at the appropriated expenses, and I was trying to understand the where everything, you kind of broke everything down. You mentioned everything, but I was wondering about the budget, the debt service, and that seemed to have been the greater percentage of something. Can you just speak to that a little bit for me?
So absolutely. So the debt service that was budgeted in this 2022-2023 budget included the Princeville Fire Department in the 101.
691, 101, 691, 16.
Thank you. Let me get that right. I'm sorry, Ms. Alves. What page is that?
Page 8.
I just want to capture that
Okay.
because it's not included in the actual detail of the content, but it's included in that illustration. So what page is that on? So the debt service is for the Princeville Volunteer Fire Department at 101-691.16. And as you can recall, Chief Brown has been before the board several times, and most recently at the retreat, explaining what transpired with the recovery process when the Princeville Fire Department submitted their own application to FEMA for recovery funds. And what the category was is PW4.
Okay.
And once they submitted an application for extension, is when FEMA realized that they could not do that because the town had ownership of Building 1. So they created a PW 1898. And so during that transition of creating the 1898, they had already submitted their request for $101,691.16 that was sent to the town of Princeville. What was supposed to happen once the town of Princeville received those funds, it was supposed to go to Princeville Volunteer Fire Department, but for some reason it did not go. As we mentioned during the budget sessions, we've done our research, we've worked with FEMA. We do have evidence that the town received those funds, but they did never disperse those funds back out to the Princeville Volunteer Fire Department, which leaves the Princeville Volunteer Fire Department owing this amount back to FEMA. And so the town is now responsible for paying these funds back to FEMA, so paying these funds back to Princeville Volunteer Fire Department, so subsequently they can send it back to FEMA.
Okay.
Did you have anything to add, Ms. Allen?
And we propose that we make monthly installments of approximately $8,500 until that debt is paid.
And as far as the $2 million, that is the 0% loan that the town and the board approved so that the town could have cash flow for the recovery projects. And how that will be paid back is that once the funds are reimbursed from FEMA, they will go right back out to this loan so that we can take care of the $2 million debt.
Okay. So that was the $2 million that Mr. Atkins was asking about.
Apparently so.
Okay.
It was my understanding that being that the funds are available, that Princeville Fire Department will be reimbursed in its totality because there's a debt that the fire department owes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. So what happened, Commissioner Jones, once we had the FEMA representative, Ms. Stacy, to come in and meet with myself and Chief Brown, and we asked for an extension on that debt, that's how we came up with installments so that we can monitor our budget very closely as we are dispersing those installments to the Princeville Volunteer Fire Department. And so the extension is until 2024, which gives us flexibility in making sure that that debt is paid by Princeville Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay, so the fire department is good.
Yes, Chief Brown is well aware.
Okay. One other thing. On page 3,
can we go through the budget, and when we get to page 3 on the budget, can we get that question?
It's in the summary.
Oh, it's in the summary. Okay.
Yes. It talks about District 6 rehabilitation project. And the second paragraph, last sentence says, Edgecomb County anticipates this project will begin execution in 2023. Will it be the first quarter of 2023? Will it be within 6 months of 2023?
So that is hard to determine at this time. As you are well aware, the county manager did attend the retreat with the budget session, and he mentioned that they need to get approval from the local government commission before they could move forward with that particular fund through the USDA. And I think there's a contingency once their audits are complete, then LGC can reassess their funds and maybe or maybe not, make that determination on how they should move forward.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, this debt service is basically comprised of that for the fire department and for the repayment of the loan.
That's correct.
Okay.
The $2 million loan.
Thank you so
Zero
much.
interest. Any other questions on page 1 of the budget? We did not make any adjustments on page 2, but we will welcome any questions that you all may have on page 2. On page 3, we did make an adjustment under administration. You will notice that the amount of your 401k match was adjusted to $7,000 from the $11,500 when the $11,500 was obligated or appropriated, one would say. It was at 5%, but the board approved the 401k at 3%, so we made the necessary adjustment to that $7,000. Also, under your medical, dental, and vision, an adjustment was made to $31,000 to cover those under the admin, which is the town manager, the clerk, the finance, and the public works director. And let me bring to your attention as well, under salaries and wages, there was an adjustment made from the $230,000 to $217,937. $217,937 so that we can make an adjustment to cover our senior center salaries. Any questions on page 3? Mayor, are you hearing me clearly?
Hearing you fine. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So that $1,300 reduction, where do those funds get allocated to?
$13,000 was allocated to the senior center salary so that we can ensure that they are able to sustain operations. And right now, the operation is from 9 to 3 with 20 hours a week, but we foresee and anticipate those hours to increase. So we want to make sure that the salaries under the senior center was well covered. So we made the adjustment in that $13,000 from the $230,000 to the $217,000.
Okay.
Any other questions on page 3?
So with the anticipation of increasing the senior citizen to functioning in the event that, because it is growing, and in the event that we would need to so let's just say hire a van driver or something of that nature, is there any way that we can budget that? Or what will we do? Or how will we budget that into the how we factor that in?
So that's included in that $13,000 to increase, and then the secondary or an additional resource would be through your ARP, by which the board did approve it under salaries. And we do anticipate needing a van driver because at this time the director is being pulled away from services to pick up citizens to bring them back to the program. So, and the board did approve the salary range and titles, and one of the anticipated salary titles and ranges is a van driver. So we will probably start looking for a van driver part-time so that the director is able to remain at the facility and oversee the day-to-day operation.
Because the citizens are going, the senior citizens are going to lunch, are they, daily?
Yeah, they're going to the E.L. Robertson Center for lunch every day.
Okay.
Any other questions on page 3?
We're talking about the senior citizens, and we're talking about them having to go over to the community college for computer classes. That was a question I asked about transportation as well. Would that be provided by us, or are they responsible for getting over to those classes?
So once they get to the center, they will be transported over to Edgecomb Community College to provide that service.
So those classes are during the time that they are already there.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. On page 4, the adjustment that was made is with 53000 under supplies and materials, an increase of $9,110.91. And I'll yield to Ms. Alice if you have anything additional to report.
Yeah, that supply line was at 9,000, but as we did this last revision to the budget, there was $110.91 that was over, so we added that to that 9,000 to bring it to the $9,110.91 for supplies and materials.
Any questions on page 4? Page 5, this was another feedback that was received during our budget sessions as it relates to salaries and benefits under governing body 51800. This is the exact amount of stipends per individual and collectively at $17,045.64.
And to add to that, the total monthly stipends for the mayor and the commissioners, that monthly stipend is $1,420.27. If you multiply that by 12, it'll give you that $17,045.64. When I originally looked at that amount, I looked at the report that showed what we had paid for the stipends, and what happened that there was a reimbursement that was given to one of the commissioners, which is not part of the salary, but it got included in there, and that's how that mistake happened when I had it at 17,144. And then and the difference between that 17,144 and the 17,045.64 was $98.36. So we moved that to and added that to the supplies and materials line, which was at 500, and we added the 98.36, which brought that to 598.36.
Also, within on this page, bring your attention under transportation. As we further assess the eligibility areas of the power bill funds and also assess with Public Works and went back and read some of the Public Works reports and conversations that the governing body has had about the needs of the community, we felt it necessary to remove the salaries from this department and with the Public Works and adjust it under Public Works, not just for one Public Works staff, but for 2 Public Works staff, so that we can leave the flexibility to meet those needs in the community with potholes and street repairs and maintenance of equipment. We thought that would be necessary, so we did make that necessary adjustment on page 5. So you'll see that 72,000 that's mentioned in the budget ordinance has been adjusted in this department under your contractors, qualified with the power bill and non-qualified contractors. So if you look in your packet, it gives you the eligibility to utilize those funds. And we see several areas that we can utilize those funds. So we want to take advantage of this resource.
72,000.
Mm-hmm. In fact, the total is $72,482. Any questions on page 5?
Yes, let me ask a question about that elected official stipend again. What was the issue in 19, 20, and 21 with the 64? Did somebody get overpaid or what was that?
It was including what our research is. It included a reimbursement to one of the commissioners, as opposed to just having the straight stipend that was included. So when we went back and did the research, and most recently, a reimbursement that was provided to one of the commissioners.
Okay, and that was all 3 years, the same amount reimbursement?
No, I think he's talking about the previous year.
I know. Our recent research was for that 2021, 2022, that adjustment that we did have evidence that a reimbursement was included. We didn't do the historical pattern for the previous years, but if I had to make a determination now, it would probably fall in the same category of reimbursement because we did have evidence for this fiscal year and why it was budgeted at 17,064.
Okay, and that was reimbursement for workshop or something of that nature?
Travel, yes, it was.
Okay, so from this point forward, where are we putting that travel?
So you have travel and training at $1,000 that was budgeted, and you also now have supplies and materials at $598. So
Okay.
we want to make sure that we properly code these line items to be audit ready. So it was very important to make that separation. So we're delighted that it was brought to our attention so that we could go back and assess how that amount derived.
Thank you.
I would like to say something pertaining to that. Mayor, since you brought it out, $1,000 for travel and training, you got more board member than you got as a senior citizen director, and you got $5,000 down for travel and training. Can you give me some reasons for that?
Yeah, because the senior citizens program is active, and the historical pattern is that the Board of Commissioners have not exceeded $200 with travel and training, and so we made the adjustment considerable to $1,000 in hopes that you all would take advantage of travel and training next fiscal year.
Well, to my understanding, we was over the budget for travel and training during the retreat, because my understanding we were at 100%. We didn't even have any money left, so it was budget that year at $3,000. I don't understand that.
So because we went to Raleigh for the retreat and we paid for the expenses for that retreat, and to be more cost savings, we utilized the senior center, and the goal is to continue to utilize the facilities in the community so that we can monitor that line item very closely and reduce cost at any means.
Well, if we had to go, unless we're going to go virtual, you got Commissioner Jones or myself and the mayor. I don't know whether we need to go to Chapel Hill again or we're going to go virtual. But if we had to stay overnight for our training, they're going to exceed way more than this. So I think we should have let the senior citizen director have $1,000 and the board members have $5,000.
Well, because the program, again, my recommendation would be that it remains the same, because you have an active day-to-day operation program with the senior center, and also the senior center director will be involved in programming. And right now, she just completed a course of accreditation as it relates to an activities director. So it would be ongoing every day, 5 days a week for that program. And if we need to make an adjustment, if the Board of Commissioners take advantage of this $1,000 and we see that it's exceeding by way of our profit versus actual, it'll give us an opportunity to make the necessary adjustments at that time.
And I'd like to add too that the travel and training for the senior center is $1,000. The travel and training of $5,000 is for the admin staff. If you look on page 3 under senior center, you'll see travel and training $1,000.
Yeah, you got 1,000 here, but then on the back page,
The
uh,
5,000 is for the admin staff, for the admin staff that travel and training.
And how much has been budgeted for the commissioners?
1,000.
Any other questions on page 5?
I do.
you
There's a difference of $18.36 of the elected official stipend. Explain to me again why there's a difference of $18.36 from 2021, 2022, and now 22 to 23.
$19.
You're talking about the 17,064 with the 17,045?
Yes.
Because the adjustment was made focusing primarily on the exact stipend received without alluding to or appearing that the governing body received a raise. And so that adjustment was made between this fiscal year and the proposal for next fiscal year. And the difference was adjusted under your supplies and material, if I understand you correctly. And if not, please ask another clarifying question.
It's good. Good enough. Thank you.
Did it make sense?
It did.
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
just, with those two differences in this fiscal year and what we're proposing, we included that in supplies and materials, which Ms. Alice highlighted. It was initially $500 budgeted and now suggested to $598.36.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So during the retreat, was this information shared, or did anyone look at it at the time, or was it even talked about, or was this changed after the fact?
It was talked. Yeah, it was talked about at the budget sessions as well as the retreat. In fact, Mr. Atkins brought to our attention and asked a clarifying question: and did the commissioners receive a raise? And so that prompted us to go back and do our due diligence. And the discovery was that the reimbursement was included, and that's the reason why that had to be adjusted, only to highlight the exact stipend received from the for the Board of Commissioners.
So that was the same token in reference to travel and training?
No, that has nothing to do with the travel and training. That was the adjustment made based upon our historical research that the board had only utilized $300. 300, or was it more? I think it was 800, but had not utilized this budget amount of 3,000 in this fiscal year. So that's why we adjusted it to 1,000 in hopes that the Board of Commissioners will take advantage of this line item next fiscal year.
Well, just on my take, I think that should have just been discussed. So we wouldn't even have to be going here during the retreat. I don't recall that, and that's why I'm asking. And I think I would have spoken on that part during the time of the retreat. And to me, that's not satisfactory. That the board members get less travel, regardless whether we go over, and an adjustment can be made. And that's one thing I hate, making all these adjustments, because it throws a lot of stuff off. We had to keep so much track record. I see that there have been a lot of adjustment prior. Then we went to the retreat. There was a lot of adjustment. And now we are still making extreme amount of adjustment that have been highlighted. And I just think that somehow or another we could, and you made a comment in the open of this booklet that there have been numerous of meetings and stuff that had come about to discuss this upcoming budget. That's just my take on it. I just wish we could have talked about it a little bit more.
Thank you, Commissioner. But as mentioned in my budget message, I'm just delighted and elated that we started early It's not uncommon to make adjustments right up until the actual budget is approved in any municipality. That's the whole process of reassessing and having a public hearing and an inspection of the proposed budget so that we can receive that feedback and then do our due diligence to see if there is a need to make an adjustment. And so, unfortunately, you departed early from the
Three.
retreat, but even prior to the retreat, we had budget sessions and reviewed it, and we took into account everyone's feedback so that we could have a transparent budget that aligns and meets the North Carolina general statute.
Yeah, and I apologize. I did have another event, but doing that same token, I only left during the session that the chief had to speak on pertaining to the amount of the budget that was discussed earlier. But we went over everything else besides that. And I'm just saying that it's just a lot of continued adjustment. And I pray and hope that all this alignment come to naught with us being able not to make a whole lot of other adjustments. And I just can't see it that the board having $1,000, and if we go out of town at 3, 6, 9, and the room's going to be every bit that plus the travel as reimbursing us back. It don't add up. Even you got more travel expense than that, as well as the clerk. If you put all of it in a nutshell, I just think we should have a whole lot more. We should have stayed with the $3,000 because we exceeded over the last time, and the budget and the percentage reflected that. So I wish that we could go back and make adjustment on that.
Noted, Commissioner. Any other feedback on page 5? Moving to page 6 under environmental protection.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
Dr. Knight. Page 5, I see supplies and materials, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but on the debit card usage, supplies and material.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is we see exactly what it is, like for Amazon, digital timer, t-shirts, and so forth and so on. But for Walmart, it's vague supplies. Going forward, can we get a copy of the itemized receipt that would go in our package to go with the debit card usage?
So because we do so much shopping at Walmart, we're more than happy to do that because we do establish a PR for every time that we go out and we make any purchases under supplies and materials. And the process, the desk procedure process is that prior to any purchases being made, we complete a PR for approval. And once we do the estimation of the supplies and materials through that PR, then we take that PR and we go out and we actually purchase whatever that supply material is. We take that receipt, and if it needs to, an adjustment need to be made to that bottom line figure, we make it at that time. And Ms. Alice signed off on the prior approval under the general statute that she pre-audit that she must do, and then I sign off, and then that's the permission that's granted by way of our desktop procedure. But we'll be more than happy to do that so that you can see that detailed report from the expenses.
Yeah, thank you. Certainly, we're not questioning the integrity of the process, but when I'm asked, well, what supplies and materials, I want to be able to provide an answer.
So the clerk can make a copy of the receipt, and when we submit the credit card information, the receipts will be attached.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Any other questions on page 5? On page 6, under the environmental protection, as mentioned earlier on, we made that adjustment to salaries and wages so that we can capture the additional public works staff. That we made the adjustment from the power bill, and subsequently it increased the medical, dental, and vision. Any questions on page 6? Page 7, we did not make any adjustments per the last budget session, but we will welcome any clarifying questions on page 7. The same with page 8. No adjustments were made per our last budget session. As with page 9, as with page 10. I do want Miss Alice to speak about the increase that you inquired about with the fuel and the reason why this from the 7,000 to the 10,000 with the fuel that was mentioned during one of the budget sessions. I didn't look back at the minutes. I didn't see where we capture clarity on the fuel on page 7.
Page 7.
Mm-hmm. Under transportation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the increase on the fuel, that's for under public works, because as you know, whenever any of you, any of us go to the gas pump nowadays, um, I personally spent $62 the other day to fill up my tank, and I don't have a very large vehicle, but I want to cry. But we increased that fuel because of that, and because we do not know how long this gas price increase is going to be, and if it even goes up even more. So we're just trying to make sure that we have enough um, dollars allocated for fuel in the event that that doesn't change in much in the year. Hopefully it will, but just in case, we just want to be sure that we have enough money allocated for that.
Before we move any further, I'm trying to, because I didn't really have enough time. I wish we could have got this document out a little earlier. But on page 9 of 10, 55213, can you share with us that the project number 5 that was inherited, and do we have, I remember 1 or 2 projects, but I cannot recall abandonment of property with M landscaping, page 9 of 10, 55213. What was those major projects and the abandonment of the properties? Which properties were that?
So those were captured, Commissioner, during the Public Works Director's report earlier on in phase 1 of the vegetation projects. I don't have those before me, but they were captured, the exact households or structures and parcels that were included in the vegetation removal. So earlier on, when the town received this Senate Bill 363, OSBM granted permission for the debris removal based upon the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew. So that's where those funds and this particular category included the chronic vegetation in the community.
I'm trying to still recall where the abandoned property was, though.
Well, I know at least 2 are right up the street from St. Luke. The house is about falling down. It's already grown back over again.
2
Those
houses,
2
St.
properties that
Luke.
we claimed.
Where were that at, Mayor?
You know where Miss the young lady beside St. Luke Church on the same side, where Pioneer Court is on Greenwood Boulevard.
Okay.
You know, we cleaned that area, looked like a park right there outside the gates of the apartment complex. And then there's a 2-story house right beside it, and right beside it there's 2 abandoned trailers. We cleaned those properties.
Well, my understanding, we had another crew on the ground that did those properties.
Well, this was early on. Now I'm not talking about last one, but phase one. I'm assuming those three properties were cleaned the first time around, and also up here by the Bridges place. You remember they cleaned that property as well
Where?
on the left hand side
Where?
by Bridges place.
Okay. I got that one.
That's four right there. 3, 4. And that was the early phase.
I would like to see some paperwork on that because I don't recall. I would just like to ask town manager just send me that. I just need to look at it. I just don't recall. I know he did some work, but I just don't recall 4 properties.
Okay,
So, Miss
and
Knight, will you just get those to me, please?
I'll do the best I can.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions on page 9? And page 10, there were no adjustments. As you heard me mention in my budget message, how our fund balance was unfortunately compromised, and we've been having our reserve over the years. But upon doing further research externally and maximizing the use of our resources as far as our budget is concerned, because we're not updated on our audits and the audit determines your fund balance, it compromised the town's ability to do so. So our 2019 audit should be completed early in July. Right now, the balance sheets have been sent over to the bookkeeping firm, and they are now developing the financial statements. And so once the financial statements have been developed, and then they will be able to complete the 2019 audit. In fact, they have moved into the 2020 audit. So the auditing firm requesting information from this office while the financial statements are being generated by our bookkeeping firm. And so once that is done, and that's why I included the outcome of our 2012 audit within your binder so that you can see what the fund balance was at that time through that audit development.
Can we also set a time and a date and time that we can review the 2017 and the 2018? We normally sit down and review and go over our audits once they are completed. So we are saying that 2017 and 18 is complete.
We're saying, and that was mentioned earlier on, Commissioner, that the local government commission, there was a waiver on from 2013 up into 2019. And so the only requirement was that bookkeeping be done so that they could generate an outcome with the audit for 2019.
Outcome.
And so this completes our proposal to the mayor and to the governing body. Commissioner Meyer, you did have a question about the budget ordinance.
I'm sorry. Let me ask this question about on page 10 about the contingency again. Is that 0 for a reason, or did you just explain that?
That was the explanation for that contingency. If you look at your budget ordinance under your generated revenue, where you says the fund balance appropriated is that $20,000. So we wanted to make sure that we still captured that. Because the 5% is by general statute, and the recommendation of the 8%, and even more, the minimal is 8% for that reserve. So we wanted to make sure that we still capture it. But again, our audits dictate that fund balance. And so it's our understanding that, it's difficult to budget it or to allocate or appropriate for fund balance if we don't have the audit that's driving that amount.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all I have, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, for the proposed 2022-2023 budget and the budget ordinance. And I did, and this wasn't a question that wasn't asked, but we did include several project ordinance.
That was just
And so, oh, okay, so we did include several project ordinance, that these ordinance, we don't have to make the adjustment every year. So we made sure that we included the time span of those projects, so they will always be in the budget until the expiration of those particular projects.
no. I was just going to say that there's with the number of project ordinance that's noted here. So what is your proposal for with the different regulations? Keeping up with those different regulations.
Well, we have staff from the state and the federal that they provide us with administrative and technical support to keep us in compliance with the regulations. OSBM is one of them. FEMA is one of them. We have representatives from those two entities, and plus other entities regarding the various projects. So they keep us in line, and we have reportings that we have to send to them as well.
Okay.
And in addition to that, that's the reason why we're still in search or for that fiscal grant coordinator, because that person would be very instrumental in providing admin and technical support, and that's making sure that we align with the regulations for these different projects. So in addition to what Ms. Alice just mentioned, the FEMA representative, OSBM, federal and state have been have been providing us with excellent admin and technical support, making sure that we meet the report guidelines, making sure that we meet the restricted guidelines for these funds. And so that has been very instrumental because we don't have the capacity, or it's challenging to try to keep up with all of the funds that the town of Princeville is receiving. And it's because of that level of engagement that we are comfortable with meeting those regulations for each one of the projects that we are currently receiving for the town of Princeville.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things when I was looking through it, I said, wow, with all these projects, that's why I'm hoping that we will get that person to, because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of things to,
That will be wonderful.
keep up with. We just keep hoping that we can get somebody for that, along with other things that person could do in regard to grants and things like that.
And so it would be a distinction because, as you just mentioned, it's an enormous undertaking. So that person would concentrate primarily on the state and federal, and then our historical outreach coordinator will concentrate on the town pursuits of grants to bridge the gap with those unmet needs.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
And that is critical because I was on a Zoom meeting today with Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments and the state of North Carolina about broadband, and they have $1 billion in grant funds to make sure that every household has high-speed internet. And we want to make sure that we are able to put in those applications so we will not be left behind. So we're certainly going to need some help.
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board on the proposed budget 2022-2023?
I make a motion that the proposed budget be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the 2022-2023 budget. Are there questions?
Yes, Mayor. Could you amend that budget to include just not the budget, but also the budget ordinance and the project ordinances? The 2020, the proposed actual budget, the budget ordinance, and the project ordinances.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we approve the 2022-2023 budget along with the project ordinance and the budget ordinance. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Very good work, Dr. Knight and Ms. Johnson. We appreciate it. I think this is the most thorough budget that I've been a part of in a way. So let's keep this motivation going forward. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item on the agenda, department reports, finance reports. Any questions?
I have one for the check detail. How
Okay,
many, Miss Knight, how many hours you say that Mr. Ward is receiving again?
It's based upon days. It's not based upon hours.
Days?
He has a flat rate that he receives to come in and do the necessary maintenance, cleaning of the facilities.
What is his flat rate?
It's $450 a week,
$4.50?
$450.
Oh, 450 cents. $450 flat rate. So he's considered part time. Why isn't it based on the hours?
Because earlier on we made a determination some 2 years ago that it would be a flat rate. It would be more conducive to be a flat rate to the facilities and him coming in and making the necessary cleaning of the facilities.
So how many days is he coming in
He
right now?
comes in once a week, and if we need him more frequently, we call him as needed.
Once a week. Well, if he only coming in once a week, how could he be considered as a flat rate of making $450 one day a week? If we do the math, he is getting paid a significant amount per hour if you do the math and break it down. So give me about how many hours he normally making.
It varies.
I mean, do you keep time?
Nope, he comes in, he gets the work done. Sometimes he stay 3 to 4 hours, sometimes longer. It's contingent upon the needs of the facilities. And if there's, we have Optimum Serve out at Heritage Park. If we need him to go out to Heritage Park and make sure that the restrooms are tidy, he does that. With the previous Public Works Director, if he needed him to come on site, he's helped with the pressure washer. He's helped with different other tasks as assigned to him by our former Public Works Director. And so that's how we manage the services that our custodian provides.
And 2 of the days I was here in the office, he spent those 2 days he came, he spent a considerable amount of time here in the office.
That's just 1 week you saw that he spent 2 days, Commissioner Jones?
And I see him when I'm here. I see him.
Yeah, on 1 day or 2 days, that 1 week or more than 1 week. You've been coming here for what, the last 3 to 4 weeks?
I don't remember.
Don't recall.
No,
Okay,
I don't
thank you.
remember.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
other questions on the check detail? Debit card usage, any questions? Okay. Public Works? I know we have a new Public Works Director. Is he with us tonight?
No, he's not. We thank you for mentioning that, Mayor. But before you mention that, we did include in here an email from the local government budget review, and it reads as following. Thank you for submitting your FY 2023 budget to the local government commission staff for review. Based upon our limited desk review, your unit's draft operating budget for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2023 appears to comply with the provisions of the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. Once you've adopted your budget, your focus should be adhering to the adopted budget using pre-audited budget controls and periodic budget reporting for management. So I just wanted to let you know that we did have some feedback, and we appreciate the feedback from the State Treasurer's Office that really helped us balance this budget and make sure that we are establishing a healthy fiscal foundation. And to
Thank you
your
so much. Any questions on that?
And to your question, Mayor, I am happy to announce that we do have a new Public Works Director, Mr. David Corey, right in our own community. Right now, he's been boots on the ground, trying to get acclimated to the tasks of the day-to-day operation. And so it's going to be some grooming and mentoring and coaching along the way. But he has the ambition and enthusiasm, and appears that he will do an excellent job in trying to fill the shoes of our former public works director. So thank you for mentioning that.
Where he's
And
from?
where is he from?
Princeville.
Where in
He's from
Princeville?
Princeville?
Yes, he is.
What's the address?
I don't want to give his address, but he lives in Princeville.
You don't want to get address?
I don't feel
No.
comfortable doing
It's still
that.
on Church Street. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and I understand he's former military.
He is.
What branch?
I think he said the Army. If my memory serves me correctly, Mayor, he said the Army.
That's correct.
Oh Lord. Never mind.
Marine. Marine.
Okay, any questions on the maintenance from the maintenance department, public works? Okay.
I would like to say this. If he don't have any experience with the heavy equipment, I will like to say that it will be crucial that he get some type of training, because it's very crucial that anybody that's operating heavy equipment go through some type of training.
Yeah, all staff go through training. Every new equipment that has been brought into the community, the guys were required to go to an 8-hour training, and they actually have come on site and provided that training. And so Mr. Corey will receive the same extensive training.
Okay, just let us know when you get it. Thank you.
Okay. Historical outreach coordinator. Questions? Senior Center.
Mayor, I do want to highlight, I think that Ms. Jessica is passing out now, that our Senior Center Director do have some upcoming events if any of the commissioners so desire to join the seniors events up into August the 20th. The first one transpiring on July 5th, which they will be doing some thrifting, window shopping, and maybe actually purchasing some items from 10 to 1 p.m. A fish fry on July the 29th from 11 to 1. On August the 3rd, they will be going out to the movies in time to be announced. They will actually be doing a fishing trip, by which I will join them. And you may want to too, Ms. Atkins, on August the 16th at 1 o'clock p.m. And also we will be having a Senior Center Prom on August the 20th from 6 to 9 at the Senior Center. So we hope to see you all on one or more of these festivities.
So they changed the date for the fish fry. I have on the 30th, July 30th.
It's whatever that Friday is. It's on a Friday.
Okay.
Let me see quickly. It's on the 29th, Mayor, that Friday.
Okay. All right. Questions?
Yes, Mayor,
Okay.
I have some concerns about the senior citizen project. I'm participating daily and going over to E.L. Robertson and enjoying a nice meal. But at the same time, I'm noticing we have an issue with the traffic. We are moving the van in and out, and we don't have adequate police available during the daytime. And we've always had a problem with folks respecting the speed limits here in Princeville due to the fact that we're not equipped with police. And I'm thinking about how do we go about getting a caution signal or crossing light, where it could let people know when they're coming in the neighborhood that we now have seniors activity at the senior citizen building.
And you're proposing the light where?
Directly in front of it on the sidewalk that can be activated when someone is coming out of the lot with a load of seniors, or someone walking across from the town hall over there, because we're still connected. And I think a caution light, a crossing light, not a stoplight, but just to let them know that we got seniors, as you know, same thing for children or handicapped kids in the neighborhood. We just need to have something there to warn the cars, because you do a lot of walking, and I'm sure you have seen the violations, traffic speeders going through here. And we've had a couple of fatal fatalities at the light within the last year or two.
Well, good luck with getting a caution light, because Mr. Bridges fought hand and tooth for a caution light by the restaurant for years with DOT,
Yeah, and
and they said
yeah.
it was not enough traffic.
It's an ongoing struggle with the caution light and commissioner. That's the reason why we have the bells and whistles on the actual vehicle when it's in motion, to send warnings to anyone who's surrounding that vehicle when you're back and when you're parking, anytime that it's in motion. So we will continue to proceed with safety and caution, and watching for pedestrians and anyone who's entering and exiting the vehicle. But if we can go back and re-engage NCDOT again, but we've done that, I know, since I've been in this role, probably about 10 times. So we can do it an 11th time in this fiscal year.
So any type
And I don't,
signage. So any type signage will have to be approved by the DOT.
If it's a street, they're operating.
Well, for your information, I have knocked on their door, and I'll be pushing that. Yes, I will.
okay. Other questions? Okay. Sheriff's Office, questions? Princeville Volunteer Fire Department?
Mayor, I do have one question, one concern, if you can, Dr. Knight. If the sheriff's office, you could relay it to them. I think there was a shooting in over going back in Forest Haven Trailer Park Saturday night, I believe it was. And I did call 911. I identified myself as Commissioner Joyner. And I asked them if they would let me know what was the outcome of it. And I did not get a call, but he said he would have someone to call me back, whoever the officer was that. And there have been times I asked that and they did, but I just wish they would do that, so that if sometimes citizens may have a question is what was that shooting going on, what happened, so that we would have concrete answers to give them. But even if they say we didn't find anything, didn't catch anybody, so that we'll be able to just report back.
Generally, Captain Williams stay engaged when there are various activities, criminal activities in the community. So I'll reach out to him and inquire about on last Saturday.
Yes.
Do you recall the time? Because we would have had a deputy on.
I believe it may have been. I was so asleep. It may have been about 1 o'clock, 12, 1.
I'll inquire with him
sometime in that time frame.
They can put it up on the cab.
Okay. If they could just, and like I said, I have called in the past, and they did make a call back, but they just would that they would be consistent with it, so that we can report back.
Will do.
And that was one of the reasons I sent an email out asking you all about your opinion for shot spotters. Whenever there's a shooting, it goes directly to the Edgecomb County Sheriff Department. They know exactly where it is. And with the camera system, if they're leaving, the camera can pick them up and tell exactly who it is. Well, not exactly, but tell approximately who it is.
And that going back in that trailer park would be a good place. There's a lot of speeding still, even with the humps. There are a lot of cars stopping out under that light, right at that stop sign between Neville and Mullen, right at the corner. A lot of cars in passing, stopping. That might be a good spot to kind of, I'm not sure where the cameras are, but that might be a good spot to put a camera.
I concur.
And even on that corner, there's very low lighting, isn't it, on that left-hand side across from your house?
Yeah.
On the opposite
I
side,
have a personal light right there on the corner, but across the street.
it's real low. I mean, dark. Yeah.
Other questions on the sheriff's department report? Okay. Fire department, is chief here?
No, he's not, Mayor.
Okay, questions for the fire department?
Since this report was generated, it's showing 180 calls this year, but as of to date, Princeville has run 217 calls.
About the same breakdown?
That's correct.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Town manager report?
Town Manager's Report Senior Center. We are still having an ongoing follow-up with Oakley Hire as it relates to the sub pump. As of today, I did speak with the construction administrator, who should have a plumber on site next week to make an effort to resolve the issue with the sub pump, so that we are able to move forward with the inspection of the elevator. And that is very important because we are in full operation and we want to make sure that we do have that elevator operating in the manner that it should. That's
Questions? Okay.
And I'm just looking now. I did ask for another request as we are looking at the stairs and the seniors using the stairs to secure a quote for some type of protective device for the steps as the seniors are traveling up and down the steps. And I did get a quote from the construction administrator to have that device or that substance added to the staircase so it can have greater protection for the seniors traveling up and down the stairs. And I also had a few items. This speaks to the importance of, once you have the construction or mitigation done in a building, how important it is to move in that building, because we are noticing a few items that needs to be repaired. But Bernie has been very timely in responding to that need. And so, in fact, I met the superintendent over there today, and he will be back to make the necessary corrections or repairs that we have identified.
Do you have a copy of the paperwork of the proposed quote for us?
No, I don't. It's within my spending range, and so I will send in my manager's report the scope of work that would be done. And out of the 3 bids that were received, the best one was for $2,019, and I will definitely include that in my next manager's report.
Is that for the protected device?
It is. It's like a substance.
What? Huh?
It's like a substance, Mayor, and I'll share that with you, the scope of work to include in there. In fact, the construction administrator and he kind of shared 3 different options and shared the pros and cons of each option. And based upon his expertise, and I'm also speaking with the superintendent, the option that we are moving forward with is the better option out of the 3. So I'll make sure you all get that scope of work in my manager's report.
Okay.
In resolving the issue, the sub pump issue, hopefully next week, by the plumber, will they also look at the back room, go up the stairs, the back room where the water is overflowing as well?
That's a part of the sub pump issue.
Okay.
In fact, that's what the superintendent and I were looking at on last day, to how that water is still draining off the back of the facility.
Okay, and also the unit up the stairs on the far end, has that been resolved?
Well, he was over yesterday, I think, when I met him yesterday, and him and the gentleman were in that location, in that utility room, making some assessments that he's going to follow up with me before the week is out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Speaking of the stairs of over there, Lowe's has donated stripping tape, aluminum, what you call it, fluorescent type, and to try to give the seniors an edge of where the steps end, so it will be less of them having an incident or an accident. Those that want to go up the steps, most of them are using the ramps, but the steps are now marked. Thank you.
If there are no other questions relating to the senior center, number 2 is Heritage Park. We had discussed Optima Serve's last day at Heritage Park would be on the 30th, but citizens have been calling, expressing an interest for the services to remain in the community. But the whole thought process was to allow for the ongoing rental of that building, because citizens have also been calling, inquiring about renting of that facility. And so the resolution to that is that Optima Serve will relocate on that same premise that will allow for the rental of that facility, and they will actually move their facilities into a U-Haul or some type of unit that they use in other places where they provide the testing services. And so as it relates to our equipment, the ETA has changed again. So now the ETA for that additional equipment to include fitness equipment would be July 29th. And also in Heritage Park, we do have an on-site visit from a potential grant funder that our coordinator, outreach coordinator, applied to the Tobacco Trust Fund grant in the amount of $150,000, and we're moving into phase 2, by which they will come on site on the 29th of this month, the 28th or 29th at 2 o'clock, to have some further discussions about the construction needs to move forward with the farmers market. So that's some very good news, and my hope is that we will be the recipients of those funds, so that we can kind of bridge that gap to move forward with the construction when we get to that part of the farmers market.
And we certainly want to thank the Conservation Corps with their young people out there assisting us in preparing for those fitness equipment. And we want to thank Optima Serve for staying on, because as you may or may not know, we did have 2 additional deaths from COVID last week. So it's not going anywhere. Other questions on Heritage Park?
Yeah, I have one, Mayor. I just wanted to say there have been a lot of damage to the outer part of the building at Heritage Park. And I noticed that the guys that cut grass, they need to go around the building and throw the grass out several feet away from the building, and then throw the grass back in, so the grass will not adhere to the building. You go out there, it really need to be clean again. There have been quite a few dents. The gutter on the edge, they're riding way too close to the corners of the building. They need to take time to weed eat, or either put some Roundup around it. We paid a lot of money to have that building restored, and a lot of work. So if you don't mind, Ms. Knight, will you please do a follow-up on that, because the guys are just getting too close to the building.
Well, that has already been resolved, Commissioner, when you mentioned it to the prior Public Works Director. Those same damage that you identified back then, he made sure that he executed that reminder to the team, and I've actually been on site and actually have given the point of contact now, boots on the ground, that friendly reminder, and they are adhering to using the weed eater and not bringing the actual zero turns up on the building since your last assessment of how to resolve that and how to maintain the area at Heritage Park. So they're really doing a good job, and they are adhering to that recommendation.
Thank you so much. There have been, since my last viewing, there was additional damage to the building, and thank you so much for your input.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions on Heritage Park? Okay, the museum.
Museum, we are still in the appeal phase with the museum through FEMA, and we're just in that process right now. The appeal is with North Carolina Emergency Management, and they have 60 days to provide support or any recommendations, and then the appeal goes to FEMA, and FEMA has 120 days to respond. And so that's where we are as it relates to the museum. We did have the opportunity to follow up with Ms. Stanley, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, to get some additional insight as it relates to the work that her and Mr. Leon are doing with data collection as it relates to the school. And so we are going to have a follow-up meeting with the team to see how we can best coordinate including that data into the permanent museum and by way of interactive system once we have some meetings with our stakeholders.
Excellent. Questions? Okay. Publication development.
So as you have read through the emails, Dr. Crowell Smith, the publication now has moved into phase 2. And between Dr. Smith and the students at North Carolina Central University History Department, they are both doing editing on the publication that has been spent well over 15 months now gathering data and bringing it into a form for publication. And so we are hoping that that process will be very instrumental in publishing our first publication for the town of Princeville, telling the story of the town of Princeville. So we'll have 2 versions, a children's version and an adult version, one would say, but for anyone's reading. And so maybe over the next several months, we will move beyond phase 2 into publication.
Excellent. Questions? Okay, number 5.
And so with the Down East Rehab Consortium Group, as I mentioned before, there is some additional funds with this particular resource, and I'm still waiting to get that specific amount, but they have moved forward with the agreement and review of the content in the agreement. I did receive an email today, but I did not have time to offer any feedback, but I will definitely do that. And once that's done, then that will give another opportunity for Princeville citizens to apply. As I heard the public comment from Ms. Lily Gonter and other citizens of the community, once that happens, we'll make sure that we promote that very well. So any citizen who may need to take advantage of this opportunity will indeed apply.
Okay. Questions? All right.
Dr. Knight, have you heard anything else about the BRIC grant?
And so it's still in the hands of FEMA. Yes, Mr. Riggins did respond about 2 weeks ago, and it's still in that process with FEMA, and he could not offer an exact date that we may hear more information.
Okay. Any other questions of the town manager? Okay, we move to old business. Update on the senior center agreement. You should have that in your package. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. CTNC youth summer schedule. You have that in your package as well. Questions? Okay. OSBM Senate Bill 363 update. That's in your package.
Yeah, that's the update that I mentioned earlier on. as we discussed, making sure that we balance and reconcile the categories of the Senate bill. And so we did have a meeting with OSBM, and we were able to ensure that we balance the remaining funds in a way that we still have the 53 acres construction obligated through these funds. And so this is capturing that balance of those funds.
Questions? Okay. Number 4, amended waiver transportation for the senior center. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I just had wanted to know if we could get an update on that. I've had several of this senior citizens asking if we were going to have that waiver amended, or rather, I guess worded differently. And
Well, you know, last time we talked about that, we were going to wait for we get an attorney because it is a legal document.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions, comments, concerns? Okay.
So the
New business.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
so
Yes.
the board is in agreement that the waiver need to be worded differently. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think what it was, the clarity of it and the tone.
And if we recall, what our attorney said was the tone was legal jargon. And if we make it any more less harsh, it may not hold up in court, but we can wait on the next attorney.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. New business. Voting on the mayor pro tem. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Commissioner Jones.
A second.
Any other nominations? Okay. It's been moved and second that Commissioner Jones be the new mayor pro tem. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Welcome, Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board.
You're welcome. Okay, alcoholic beverage control.
And so, Mayor, a while back, the board voted to allow alcohol by the drink, liquor by the drink, when Robert Andrews came before the board many months ago, probably a year. Now we were over in the temporary location. Since that time, he's trying to pursue a permit to carry out that vote. And so most recently, I did get a visit from Representative Shelley Willingham to give a friendly reminder that in order for that to happen, the town must pass a resolution. And once the resolution is passed, it goes to the Edgecomb County Board of Election to be on the ballot in November for Princeville citizens to vote on that matter. And so the resolution is before you today so that we can meet those sensitive timelines.
Who has the resolution?
I just sent it to you about 10 minutes ago, Mayor.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Jones, you have it?
I have it now.
Will you read that for us, please?
Yes, sir. Resolution. Whereas the town of Princeville is passing a resolution to sell liquor by the drink, the general statute states any county, municipality, or any district shall have authority to call special elections as permitted by law. And whereas prior to calling a special election, the governing body of the county, municipality, or special district shall adopt a resolution specifying the details of the election and forthwith deliver the resolution to the local board of elections. And whereas the resolution shall call on the local board of elections to conduct the election described in the resolution and shall state the date on which the special election is to be conducted. And whereas the special election may be held only at the same time as any other state or county general election, at the same time as the primary election in any even-numbered year, the same time as any other election requiring all the precincts in the county to be open, and the same time as a municipal general election if the special election is within the jurisdiction of the municipality only. And whereas legal notice of the special election shall be published no less than 45 days prior to the special election. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners approve the resolution.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion, we accept the necessary resolution.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we adopt the resolution. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Next item, drug and alcohol policy.
Mayor, as we review our policy and procedure that has not been updated in some time, I know it's been on the agenda to review the ordinance, and we did get an opportunity to have Stewart to come in and do some updates on our zoning and actually offer some concrete direction in updating the zoning part of our ordinance. But we also have not gotten around to the update of our policy and procedure, and I hope that we'll still continue to do that. But one area that I'm offering recommendation on this evening is to strengthen the drug and alcohol policy. And I did pull this directly from another municipality and from North Carolina Human and Health Services. And so it's before you on this afternoon for approval consideration. And I did get your email, Mayor, and I did go in and make that necessary adjustment. And I hope that that will in itself get an approval on this evening.
I'm sorry, say that last part again.
I did make the necessary adjustments per your recommendation via email. And so I'm hoping with that insert that this addendum to the drug and alcohol policy will be approved on this evening.
And I saw the amendment. Now, does that portion include the mental health piece as well?
So this is focusing on drug and alcohol, and it speaks to, per your recommendation, whatever the intake specialists recommend for treatment, that we're requesting that employee to adhere to that recommendation.
Okay. Questions from the board?
I would like for us to table it so that it could be more of a discussion, because I think there's some other things that need to be discussed pertaining to the personnel issue that even the one that we had in the past, we did not get a report from the employee, nor did we get a report from the town manager. So I think there's a lot more that need to be incorporated that we need to look at, and maybe by that time we can have the lawyer on board so that he can advise us some do's and don'ts, pros and cons. That's just my take on it.
And what type of report are you looking for?
Where there was an incident report, anytime you're working of this type function, there should always be a report generated as well as a manager report, so it could be placed in the file just in case there's, sir?
You talking about the accident?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
So an incident report is in the file, in your personnel file, your staff personnel files, Dr. Knight?
It is.
It is. Can you let me see it? The board should be privileged to at least being able to read the report and go over it and see if there's something that need to be spoke about as the board direct the town manager to do so.
This is a personnel matter, Mayor, and I do not want us to get into confidential information. So if we do have personnel under executive session, so my
Right.
Right.
recommendation would be for us to
Okay.
pause this for executive session.
Well, I agree with that. I'm just saying, for us to kind of look at it as a whole. Thank you.
Okay. But getting away from the personnel, but this drug and alcohol policy in general can be discussed in open session, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Okay. And Commissioner Mark said we need to get attorneys' input. What's the other board members think?
On the drug and alcohol policy.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Knight, you said there has been one in the past.
Yeah, in our policy and procedure, it says that the board can develop policies and procedures surrounding drug and alcohol. And so that's very vague. So I went on to the Department of Human and Health Services and I pulled this from there and went to 3 other municipalities and just pulled together what would be more of a sound, solid, functioning policy for the town of Princeville. And by way of the mayor's recommendation, I went back and cut and paste the additional information for the, you mentioned about testing and treatment. And so the employee on first offense will have an opportunity to go into treatment based upon the intake assessment that was captured in the additional information per the mayor's recommendation, by which was a good recommendation, but I only pulled directly from the Human and Health and Human Services website, and that wasn't included, but I went and looked in other places and cut and paste what was included on other documents.
Can we send our proposal over to the league and get their input?
Whatever the board desires. And I just want us to move, a little more quickly as we're still hiring people under, we're still hiring
Right.
people. And this appears to be a very solid policy. It speaks
Yeah.
to every element of this particular subject.
Okay.
I don't
So we
think
can
it would
send it
take.
over to the league tomorrow and get the response hopefully
Absolutely.
this week. Tomorrow is Friday.
They have not been as responsive, Mayor. We've
Okay.
been waiting and waiting for weeks for responses from the league. I was just fortunate enough to get a better responses from the School of Government. They respond more readily, but it's been difficult getting responses from the League of Municipalities.
Okay, can we do with the School of Government then? That's basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Absolutely. And if you go on to that and look at the blog, you also will see a policy in the blog, the language of this policy, very similar to that.
Okay. I would say just send it to both of them and see if we get in the response and go from there.
I agree. It's always good to have a legal feedback, opinion on stuff like that, because we're not expert and we can pull any document to substantiate, but we need to make sure that a lawyer can give us enough feedback and say, okay, this look good. We can move forward. That's my opinion to it.
Comment.
Yes, sir.
With all that said and done, and the approval of the alcohol resolution here, we need to prioritize our moral thinking as far as we do not have adequate police protection as it is, and with the increase of alcohol and drugs running our streets, we need to just be a little bit more concerned of what could happen here, and let the record show you that I'm opposed to any drugs, even though it's going to generate revenue, alcohol. I just don't feel like we're prepared to take on the consequences, the potential consequences of having such extra stuff going on.
Did you vote a few moments ago?
No.
Okay. When you don't vote, you stand saying yes.
Well, I just want the record to say that I didn't say yes, and
Okay.
my reason why is because I don't think Princeville needs that extra hazard without a police department or active. You know, you need to be prepared for that stuff. If you're not,
Okay.
you take it on something you can get out of control. Yeah.
But that's why we got the sheriff department as being active at this time when they are in the area, Commission Buller, and that's normally going to be somewhere everywhere. You ain't going. That's one thing you're not going to stop, and at least you have what they call a little bit more control, in a sense, to set this in place as a policy. So you go to most towns, they probably going to have this piece put in place, but that's your opinion. But I'm just saying that we're going to always have that, and it's good to have control. But we know for the most part, a lot of things are happening in the world, but we have to put something in place. Just like the ABC store, we understand that there's ABC stores everywhere, and they still building ABC stores, and that is going to be an ongoing thing. People buy their alcohol, their beer, their wine. Some people don't indulge as much as others, but still it's a part of the human life.
That's where that dementia and mental health come into play.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Upcoming events.
So you have in your packet upcoming anticipated events for 2022-2023. That includes the Youth Community Summit, Princeville Summer Extravaganza, Senior Center Prom, the Christmas Parade, the 138th Founders Day celebration, and the 2023 Juneteenth. And so we are soliciting any citizens who so desire to be a part of these committees. I did speak with Mr. Robert Andrews, who did sponsor and host a Juneteenth at his facility, and he's more than willing to use his team to continue the momentum for the Juneteenth. And so I'm delighted to hear that. And so he will keep the governing body in the loop. He said their first meeting should be in August. And so we will be in collaboration with Mr. Roberts and True Vegas.
And let me just say, it was a beautiful event. I went over there with thinking I was going to stay an hour or two. I got there at 1 o'clock. I think it started at 1. No, it started at 12. I was there at 12, and I left. It was probably 7:30.
So you did a lot of eating.
Huh?
You did a lot of eating, right?
It was just refreshing. People laughing, talking, eating, great music, great bouncy houses for the kids. It was just a fun, family-filled event. And I also went to the one in Rocky Mount on Friday. It was beautiful. I went back on Sunday. It was beautiful. It was a stress reliever. And I think Commissioner Joyner had brought up one time that we need to do something on a monthly basis. Is that right, Commissioner Joyner?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Any ideas since that time? I think it's a great idea because, again, we're dealing with a lot of mental health issues, not only in Princeville, but worldwide. People are struggling. Anything we can do to relieve some stress, I think will be a positive thing for us.
You can do small things. Doesn't have to be anything that be of great cost. You could do small things like drum circle on Freedom Hill or in the park. You could just have a day, have a food truck, and just some kid activities. There are several things you can do that may not be costly, but just something that can be a stress reliever and some fun in the community.
I agree. Other input from any other commissioner?
A lot of towns are pretty much implementing that type of community activity.
Yeah.
Mayor, before you move on, I did locate the email, but I still was in the scope of work. but they install a non-skid texture sealer to the wood ramp both sides of the steps. This will not be added to the porch floors, only to the steps and to the ramp area. And so that was the best out of the three. So I'll make sure that I submit this on tomorrow when I submit my manager's report.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Joyner, you want to spearhead these events, or you want somebody else to spearhead it? I know you got a lot on your plate.
I'll be glad to spearhead them and get a committee. Then I could possibly release some of that to the committee.
Okay, and I'll be glad to work with you.
Thank you.
Okay, board comments?
I do have one other quick question. On the
Yes.
farmers market, will there be a limitation as to what can be sold there? Will it just be? Do you have an idea of what is clothing or things like that?
It's a variety of items that are acceptable for the farmers market. I'll make sure that I attach that to my manager's report as well.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, and the other board member, during the retreat, we did discuss the ARP funds and using 50% of the funds for the educational fund, poverty to prosperity. Does everybody recall that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there a motion that we use that 50%?
Use it for what, Mayor?
The education fund and poverty to prosperity. You remember the information that I sent out about getting people licenses and certificates and associate's degrees, making sure people who are out there get an opportunity to become plumbers and painters and electricians, to make that $25 to $30 an hour. Working with the community college, working with OIC to bring those services here, so transportation would not be an issue.
Currently, Mayor, the Edgecomb Community College has a program in place where anyone can get a degree for free. Maybe we should have a sit down with Dr. McLeod and see how we can strengthen his hands versus duplicating what he's already doing.
Yeah, we did, and there are some programs that they don't pay for, like the forklift driving training, which is 1 day. They don't pay for that, so that's something we can pay for. We can work with them in collaboration. Same thing with the OIC as well. Anything that they don't pay for, we can step in and pay for it and make sure our citizens get what they need in order to be successful.
I think there are certain facets of that, Mayor, the educational piece that we might want to take another look at. I guess I kind of I'm challenged a little bit with paying tuitions. I'm really impressed with the training, trades, getting people certified in trades. I think sometimes we have to, and I know we have talked about this a lot, and just as I thought about it more, I think that maybe if we can just take one other look at it and see if we can wean out something that the only part of it that challenges me is the paying of a person's tuition, especially if it was in the past. That's the part I'm challenged with. So, aside from that, especially that we're gonna work collaboratively with OIC and with Edgecomb Community College. The funding may not necessarily be there to pay for the training, but maybe we're gonna have to have someone to facilitate. We have to utilize some of those funds for people to actually carry them out.
Yeah, we definitely gonna need that. But then remember the tuition, all this money has to be spent as it has an impact on the virus.
On the what you said? I'm sorry.
The virus. The virus. So
Oh, I got you. Okay.
any student that graduated post pandemic or during the pandemic,
Right.
we can utilize those funds
During the pandemic. Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. From the time they shut school down, I think it was in 2020
Mm-hmm.
until now. And we're talking about once they have completed a course, once they successfully pass the course, then we assist them because as I'm listening to the news now, one of the major hindrances, especially of our people not purchasing homes now, is because they have this big debt over their head from college. So if we can relieve that debt, we can allow them to move into the American dream early of buying a home. And I'm thinking about this. We need to think about this as an investment in the town of Princeville and our citizens. Because if we don't provide this investment, we don't provide hope, then we don't address the issue of crime. When we provide hope, we're addressing the issue of crime. All these things work together. At some point in time, we're going to have to address those issues. People are struggling mentally, physically, because they don't see a way out. And this can be their way out. And we have to dedicate these funds by what, Dr. Knight, 2024?
2024 obligate and 2026 expense.
So we might think that's a long time, but it's not. It's not a long time. So we have to start planning, and that's why, again, we've been working with organizations, OIC, ECC, mental health organizations, trying to make sure that we address people where they are so they can move forward.
In addition to educational pursuits, what more can those funds be used for? Back taxes, maybe?
Water, sewer, infrastructure, small businesses that were adversely impacted by the virus. That's why we can't help Tracy's Soul Food, because she came into the restaurant after the pandemic was already in place. But if we have somebody in the town, for example, the convenience store that was in place and had a negative impact because of the virus, we can assist them. The young man that came today, we can't assist him because he's just opening up. Did I miss anything, Commissioner Jordan, Dr. Knight, that we can use those funds for?
You missed your main one, is that's your broadband.
Well, and that's another thing, because we have so much broadband money coming, I don't think we should use this money because it's going to be here.
Yeah, I was just saying that's one of the eligibility areas in this particular resource of funding.
Right, right.
I would really like for us to I don't know if it's concrete enough right now of what we are going to do, how we're going to utilize it. I know we've had meetings after meetings and about what the poverty to prosperity. We have the buy-in from Edgecomb Community College and other places. And I know that we had asked someone to work on that, Mayor. Have you heard anything back from them yet?
I have not.
So I think we need to really get something a bit more concrete to see exactly, because I guess, Dr. Knight, you making speak to this, when we make the allocations for it, it has to be very specific.
It has to be in alignment with the eligibility areas. And you would have had a representative here this evening from Upper Coastal Plains, but she was in a major car accident And so she will be here, hopefully, if not her representative from the COD in July.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping that would happen. That we would be able to talk. She would be able to give us some even more concrete information on it, so that we could make a very informed decision. And I can tell you that when I went to a workshop in Wilmington, one of the main things that they pointed out was in making the decisions, citizens' involvement was very, very important. And I think we have reached out to the citizens a couple of times. Am I right, Dr. Knight?
We have.
And we did get the consensus of some citizens. I'm not sure if we had a large enough pool of citizens to actually make an informed decision. One might say, well, if they didn't respond, they didn't care, and that may not be the case all the time. I'm just thinking that maybe we want to make sure that when we utilize these funds, that it's going to impact as much as possible every citizen in Princeville in some form or fashion. And Mayor, by no means am I downplaying the poverty to prosperity at all, because that is very important. That's the goal of I'm sure of everyone in the town of Princeville. But I'm just struggling with how the having it all under an umbrella so that we can be very clear about it. And if someone comes to us and say, "What are you doing with it?" Because I'm sure there are some citizens that are asking that question, and I think we want to be able to say to them very positively and very so that they can understand exactly how we're going to utilize it. And I know we're just talking about the half mayor that we talked about in the retreat, but we also have another half that we got to talk about. So
Right, and that's what. Go ahead.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's what, when we're talking about educating our people and providing mental health assistance, we are impacting all of Princeville. Whether they go to school or not, we're still having an impact on all of our citizens, because they are connected to somebody in the town of Princeville. They are somebody's child, somebody's mother, somebody's father that's going to make a better life for themselves. And when they make a better life for themselves, they also have an impact on that family unit. We have to provide our people. Again, our people are struggling, and this is a way out of the struggle. I know some of the things that people said on the responses were basically some of the things we saying. Small business assistant, a business incubator, but how many is that gonna have a impact on? Immediate impact on? We talked about cleaning the ditches. Yeah, we can do that, but how many is that going to have an impact on? I'm talking about when people are sitting here waiting for Uncle Sam to give them a check the first of the month. We don't have to live like that. I used to live like that, but I came out
because go to work. That's what they can do.
Say it again.
They can go to work. That's what they can do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Put them to work, but we have to train them to get a job that's going to pay for their family.
The community college has all the training.
I understand that.
Away from citizens.
I understand that.
No, but you take it away from the citizens of Princeville.
Everybody in the town of Princeville, so the town of Princeville can move forward.
Well, cleaning out the ditches will help all of Princeville with the flood.
This is not your time. This is not your time.
It's my time, because you sitting home and I'm sitting home, so I ought to be able to say something too.
It's not your time now. You're not on the board.
No, you ought to be at the town hall. I'm sitting home because I have to. You're sitting home because you want to. And this is the only way I get a chance to say what I got to say.
This is not the public comment section. Now, if you were the mayor, how would you respond now? You used to be the mayor. What would you do if people do you like that? Disrespect you like that?
Oh, I've been disrespected as mayor for a long time, but I didn't do the town like you're doing the town. As a mayor, I did what was best for the citizens of Princeville, and that was all of Princeville, not just a few people. Okay. The community college got everything they need out there if they just go.
Please shut that mic off, please.
Sure, I will, but I wanted to.
Thank you. Board members, we just do what's right. That we pray about it, but we got to spend these funds in the best way possible.
And I agree, Mayor. And I think that I agree. And I think that we've talked about it. I don't know if we've talked about it even into the detail that we were talking this evening. And the hours are far spent. And when you're talking about something as serious as this, I think it's something that we need to put a lot of thought into, discussion into, I would say, because I think all of us have thought about it, whether it was individually but not so much as a board. So I would just suggest that we
have a special call meeting.
If we just have a special call meeting for this and this alone, so that we'll be able to say everything about it subjectively, objectively, agree to disagree, and so that we can come to a resolution of something that we think will be, whether we would satisfy everybody or not, but it will at least give us the opportunity to talk about it and then try to hopefully make a good decision, the best, because that's what we always do, make the best decision for the town that we can. So can we just kind of table that, and then let's do a special call meeting and hash it out.
That's fine. But understand this now, we will never, ever be able to satisfy everybody. You can forget that.
Absolutely.
Never. Okay. Any other board comments?
I would like to say I came aboard in I was elected November the 5th, 2019, sworn in December 17th of that year. And this is one of the best budgets I've seen. And I applaud Dr. Knight and Miss Alice for their presentation of the budget. I am well pleased. I'm satisfied with the momentum that Princeville has, and I'm grateful for the direction in which we're heading.
I concur too, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
I concur.
Yes, sir.
And I agree.
Job well done. Super
Outstanding, outstanding report. And I think one of the things that added to it was the many sessions that we had prior to that made it easier to understand, because finance is something that you just can't pick up and look at and say, hey, yeah, this is good. But the way that has been broken down, explained in each of the sessions, and now when we get to the full gambit, it made more sense to me than any other budget proposal that I've been a part of.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, for that recognition. And I want to say I'm going into my 5th year here come December. We hit the ground running in 2018 and had a lot of hurdles to jump and a lot of matters to resolve. And I totally concur with you all. This was very time consuming, as most budget seasons are for municipality leaders, but it was very rewarding to have a clear perspective of what a proposed budget should look like to set the stage for the administration and for the town to have a healthier fiscal foundation. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I will let Ms. Alice know as well, because she worked around the clock, having meetings after hours to ensure that this budget balanced and it met the North Carolina General Statute. But I do want to say quickly, and I did get this communication earlier, that one of our citizens celebrated, if not yesterday, today, Mrs. Annie Howell, 100th birthday or 99th birthday. And so
99th.
Okay, very good. And we will be bestowing her tomorrow with some tokens of celebratory gestures.
Right. Dr. Knight and
It's
the
Miss
board.
Brown. It's Brown, not Powell.
Oh, Brown, Brown. Thank you very much, Miss Annie Brown. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
that's
Dr.
Miss
Knight,
Ann Howell's mother.
Okay, that's why I got Howell from.
I did want to say to Mr. Hinton and to how did your name skip? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Wednesday, yes, Jason. There are some other resources that, as far as a new business, starting new businesses, and I will try to look up some of those resources and get them to you. And the mayor saying that the ARP money is one that will not fall into your category, but we certainly know there are some more, and I will try to find maybe Dr. Knight, and we can collectively try to find something that can assist you, because we certainly are excited about new businesses coming to Princeville. That's really exciting, and I've been seeing your things you've been setting up down there, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense. So don't feel like we're just saying forget you. We don't want to help you. We would certainly try to look into some things to be able to assist you, to work alongside with you to make your business successful.
Thank you, greatly appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you for saying that these gentlemen did come and see me, and we did have some referrals for them with Edgecomb Community College and their small business, and so we're going to stay connected so that we can support businesses in Princeville. So,
Right.
thank you for being here this evening.
I do have one question before we go into executive session. Ms. Perkins mentioned ditch cleaning. Can a portion of those funds be allocated for ditch cleaning? Because, and the reason why I asked, when I was out campaigning both times in 2019 and just recent, my ward members, that was something I heard repeatedly: the ditches, the ditches, the ditches. So can a portion of those funds be used for ditch cleaning?
So based upon when NC Pro came before us, Ms. Jamila Hawkins and one of the representatives, that is an area that it can be used, and we were going to get more clarification. That's why we were asking the ARP representative from COG to come, so that you all could have a more detailed discussion. And that's the reason why our former public works director did go out and receive quotes, because of the solicitation from the citizens and those prioritized areas that they mentioned that they so wanted to recommend that you all use the funds for. So we still have that information, and I guess that would be an appropriate time, as you all have talked about, a special call meeting or whatever that needs to look like, to have that representative to come, so that you all won't feel rushed, meaning in a meeting setting, but could have a roundtable discussion about how you can best utilize those funds to include what the mayor is mentioning.
And even if some things don't happen with this round of fundings, in the meeting that I went to in Wilmington, they did say to us that based on how we handle this round of money, there will be other ARP monies coming. So we certainly want to be good stewards over it and make sure we handle it appropriately and utilize it in a way that the powers that be will see that we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do with it, and then we'll get more money to do more things. Because certainly I do know that it's not enough to do every ditch that needs to be cleaned.
Right.
And maybe I'm kind of still behind the eight ball, but I thought we also had additional fund. Was that not right, Miss Town Manager? That was allotted for the ditch cleaning, and that's why Mr. Porter had went out prior to that, before this money came about, to get the quotes.
It was for the anticipation of the ARP funds, and where the board had carried out a public hearing and received the feedback from the citizens, and that was one of the areas, a recommendation is ditch cleaning. So the board asked the public works director to secure quotes, and he was able to do that and include it in one of his monthly reports, and so you can have that information.
Is that what you recall, Mayor June?
Say that again now.
Is this the reason why we asked the public work director to go out to look at bids? This was one of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was part of,
There was
part of
no
the ARP
additional
fund.
money? I thought we
No
had some additional
just that
money.
600 plus thousand.
Right. Before this even came about, we had some people come out of Raleigh, Chapel Hill, somewhere, and they were talking about that they would love to be a part of the team because we had additional money that was coming down the pipe, and that they had put in bids, but somehow or another they got pushed to the side. And I knew that we had money for that project, but I think we used it for something else as well.
So it seems to me that the board is in agreement that we can clean some ditches, but we can come together and still talk about the educational piece of it. But since we're in agreement that the ditches can be cleaned using some of those funds, I don't see why we should wait any longer.
We're not in agreement, Commissioner John. We just making a discussion. Commissioner Bull and I have not came in agreement yet.
For us
I was
cleaning the
just
ditches?
discussing. Well, I always wanted the ditches cleaned,
That's
but
what I'm
I'm
saying.
not in agreement to it yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Based
saying.
on
Clean
this
the ditches.
money, based on the money. Yeah, I mean, it will be a great piece, but I want us to have a special call meeting and hash it out, talk about it just as we just stated. So I think we can just go and move forward and just, let the attorney, we got some executive session to do. We've been on this piece for 45 minutes. We need to move forward.
But in the meantime, as I was saying,
Yes, sir.
if we come to an agreement that the ditches can be cleaned, I don't see why we should wait any longer, and we can deal with the educational piece at some other time.
I think we need to get prices on it before
The quotes.
the quotes on it before we move forward on that, because we could be saying do it and then we get to do it and oops, we don't have enough money.
Yeah, and the thing about it, just as Mr. Bridgewater said, we don't need to make no hasty decision. As you had in your prayer, that there is a way that seems right unto a man. We want to do the right thing, so let's think about doing the right thing first. Let's have a special call meeting, sit back and hash it out.
Understand that I'm
Talk
speaking
about
in
it.
terms of prioritizing.
I understand that's going to be
areas,
prioritized
not
when we
just
get to that
all
point.
at once.
I got you.
Okay.
And also remember, when you're going on private property to clean now, we have to be very careful. We may need an attorney on that as well, because if something happens, who's going to be held responsible? That's number one. Number two, look at what we're doing now when we're cleaning these lots out here, and the owners don't do anything with them. They grow back up. So that's wasted money.
Yes.
So what's going to happen? What's going to happen next year, the year after, when we clean the ditches this time? Who's going to be responsible next year, the year after, when the funds are gone? Okay.
And some of them we done cleaned twice, and still the same thing happening.
Yeah.
Wasted money.
It was a general consensus that the citizens thought the town was responsible for the cleaning of the ditches. They were not aware that it was their responsibility. So I believe it would be fair if we prioritize certain areas, the ditches, get them clean, but also impress upon the owners that going forward, it will be their responsibility.
Let's make sure we get with the attorney to offer contract.
May I make
Because
a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Get ready to go.
I think we have a sewage, curbs and gutter project here. We don't need to be hiring nobody with a shovel and some hole diggers. Princeville has never been laid out like it was supposed to have been from Jump Street. Now you got some funds. There may be some other matching funds that could be added to this, and do it like it's supposed to be done. You got 53 acres out there getting ready to be developed, or contemplating on anyway, right next door to Southern Terrace. That area is going to have to be matching the development out there. So go ahead on and do it while you can for one time. Do it like it's supposed to be done. Curbs and gutters and sewage. Yes, curbs,
that's going to be
gutters, and
done. That's going to be done for the 53 and 88. No doubt about that.
you got to do something with Southern Terrace. If you don't, you got the same problem.
Okay.
It needs to be done. Never been done.
Other board comments?
I just say let's set a time for the call meeting, and then let's do it sooner than later,
Yes.
so that we can go ahead and resolve this matter and land the plane. Bottom line.
Well, I'm retired, so I can meet anytime.
I'm not. Bragging, huh?
Since
And
the
it
mayor
feels so
since the
good.
mayor and I have retired,
Y'all
pick y'all schedule.
bragging.
Mayor,
It's a press time.
Yes.
there's a friendly reminder if you so desire to recess the meeting so you won't have to adjourn and you can just pick up the pieces when you all identify what that meeting date needs to look like in the time.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We're on the 22nd. No, the 23rd is today. Are we talking about next week? Is next week's good for everybody?
So are you talking about having a representative here from the pod?
If
Or are
that's,
you talking about you all meeting?
I think we need to have a representative as well, because there may be some
Yes.
areas that we're just not clear on, that we need to get some clear.
So with that being said, I would recommend if you could share at least 2 dates so that if I have to, go back, I won't have to come back and forth. I can reach out to the pod representative to see if he or she is available.
I'm available the 27th through the 29th.
27th through the 29th. 27th through the 29th. What day did 27th fall on?
Monday.
Monday.
July 27th.
June 27th.
June.
Oh,
Next week.
Yeah, it's time for
June 27th, June 28th, June 29th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Next week, let's see.
Is that what you were talking about, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What time you are referring to?
What time y'all want?
Commissioner Jones.
Early as possible.
6.
Commissioner Joyner,
Yeah.
what's the earliest you can be here?
5:30. I can get here 5:30.
5:30?
Yeah.
Dr. Knight, if you check with the COG to see if they can come the 28th or the 29th at 5:30.
Will do.
Okay. 28th or the 29th at 5:30. Okay. Any other board comments?
I would like to make a motion to go ahead and executive session because we got this attorney sitting here.
Okay.
We need.
Let me see. Let me make sure that we have a second meeting link to go back to when we close out.
I'm gonna leave this meeting link open, but I'm gonna pause it, and then we're gonna get on the
Okay.
Zoom for the executive.
Okay. Okay. Okay, is there a motion to go into executive session NCGS 143-318.11A16 to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to this law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statute, NCGS 143-318.11A4, to discuss relating to the relocation or expansion of industries agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations, or to discuss matters relating to military installation closure or realignment. 1, personnel. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we go into executive session. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. I'll see you in the executive session.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
I'll turn this phone off half the time.
Oh yeah.
Do we have any internet
Give me 1 second. Let me see.
You know what? I didn't see it. I didn't receive it. You never
Hey,
received
Brother Winston. How you doing, sir?
Jason?
it.